Well, hi there. It's Sandy Allnock with Create in Color with one of probably the craziest cards I've made here yet. This one has great images, teachers and students that you can use to make a thank you card for your kids' virtual teachers. Because there's so many people that are dealing with the whole virtual school thing, it's important to give those teachers encouragement. It's hard. I've had so many people who are now dealing with making video and being on camera and stuff, and they're like, I didn't know how hard your job was, Sandy. So everybody's learning how difficult this online thing is, and they need some encouragement. So I have created a little grid for myself. I did mine just with a pen, and you can invent your own little system. I have a download of this border, not drawn with crazy marker like this. I did one graphically so that you can download that, and I have one with a white background and a black background. I decided on my card to fill in the outside and make it black because it just seemed like more zoomy, I guess. And the grid that I did specifically for a reason. I didn't do all even squares or rectangles or whatever like you would normally get on Zoom because I wanted the teacher to be the hero of the card. So I gave the teacher a little extra big block. And then the little kids. Now there's 4 kids in the stamp set, and I had to stamp 2 of them twice in order to have enough kids. I considered actually having one of them be empty in an empty room because there's always the kid who's going to go to the bathroom and not be in their chair at the right time. And I thought somebody might appreciate that, but there you go. For the coloring, I have stamped it in craft ink, so this will be no line coloring. And this guy reminded me so much of a teacher that I had that I decided to color him because he was fabulous. I really liked his classes that he taught, and he was an encouraging kind of guy. Really, really liked him. And he used to wear vests all the time. So I took off the kind of jacket thing that he's wearing and I turned it into a vest so I could customize it. So when you're doing your card, you could also customize it as well. If there's a person who looks similar to one of the stamps, but not completely, then just stamp part of it. Like if you need to adjust the hair, then wipe the ink off of the portion that it would be the hair and draw your own hair in. Change their clothing to be something that would match, because there's nothing like getting a card that looks like you in the mail. I think that would be special. And so what I've done was add glasses to him as well with my colorless blender, a little bit of white pen, and then I took a black pen to make a little outline around the glasses so he has some frames. So you can customize that as well. Usually with glasses, in order to make them look like what they could look like or make them look like glasses, just removing some color so it's lighter color underneath the glass. Even though that I guess that doesn't really work in real life. You wouldn't really see that, but when you're making art, that's an easy way to convey that to your audience. Let's just say that. So each of the kids I colored thinking about kids that I went to school with when I was little. I do have memories that go back that far. I may not be able to remember what I ate for dinner last night, but I can remember some of the kids that I went to school with. So there you go. Oh, sometimes I have to wonder about my memory. But these are each kids that I remember from school. I just looked at the picture and thought about who would that have represented. And it was sort of a fun little walk down memory lane and wondering what they're doing now. Because I don't go to reunions, so I have no idea what all these people from my school days are doing. The 2 at the bottom, I wanted to change them up so they wouldn't look like replicas of the 2 on top. So this little girl on the left, I'm going to give her long hair. And I switched it to black hair because that's easy to go over the lines and make her look very, very different. And then for the little boy, I made him an African-American boy, and I gave him a little bit of a fuzzy hair on his head, dark skin, and then he looks very different than the kid in the upper left. So you can change those kinds of things up. And, if you know the kids in your child's class, by all means, make their pictures in there. I think that would be really fun for the teacher to get a little example of your artwork and rendering his or her classroom. And for the backgrounds, I know this is going really fast because there's just too much here. It took me hours to make this card, but for the backgrounds, I'm keeping them relatively simple shapes. It's shapes enough to convey something. For this chalkboard, it's just a gray chalkboard, a wooden frame around it, and a wall. And then it just looks like a classroom, but it didn't take that much to draw it. The little boy here is in a bedroom. So he's got a poster on the wall, a bed with a pillow. I put a little tiny detail into the bedspread and a little bit of rock and roll on his poster. And that was it. I mean, I'm not going into super huge detail in these, but it's the reason why I ended up using like 1,000 markers in this, what felt like 1,000 markers. That little girl has a rounded mirror on her dresser. Just some really simple indications that someone's in a house is really all you need. And it doesn't even need to be a thing. The little girl with the orange behind her, that could be a curtain, could be a designed something on the wall, doesn't really matter. Little boy with a window and putting some curtains on either side of the window where he's at. Although if he's got a window right behind his head, his face would look all completely blacked out, because I have done that. I tried to zoom with a window behind me and your face just goes black because of the way that the video is rendered. Little girl here has a chair and a lamp behind her, so she's in a living room. And then this little boy is in the kitchen. So I tried making a sink and that sort of thing. I put in the brown cabinets and realized I should probably make the cabinets down below brown as well. So just went over those when it got toward the end, because it just looked weird to have some white and some brown. So just made really simple shapes in order to indicate some general settings for each one of these. But my recommendation would be to get the stamping done, get the card ready, and then turn your kids loose to color it. Because I think your teachers would appreciate that so much more. For the finished one, I added the word Zoom in the corner, and I put in some names for each of the people that are in it, which was kind of fun. If you make a card with my template, please do tag me on social media. I'd love to see what you're creating. I also want to let you know there's a Facebook Live coming up with the Warm Hugs and Frosty Kisses stamp set. So we're going to be making this card together. It's a color along. Do see the blog for details of the time and place and links and downloads and everything else. And I will see you guys again next month. Take care.